Today on All Out Brick, we're going to be taking a look at the Mistika. We're going to build the sets, review them, and then give out a score. Let's get started. Hey everyone, I'm Christian from All Out Brick. Welcome to another Toa Nui Monday. As always, the best way to tag along with us every week, and yes, that does mean every week moving forward. We've been inconsistent, we haven't been good, all done with that, we are back. The best way to keep up with us every week is of course to subscribe and turn on notifications. This week, we'll be building the Mistika, which wasn't much more than just the name that was given to the 2008 summer line of Bionicle sets. Mistika can be translated to Spirits of the Mist in the Matoran language. The Mistika consisted of 3 Toa Nuva and 3 Makuta sets, just like our Matoran of Light sets. These guys battled down in the swamps of Karda Nui against each other during their quest to obtain the elusive keystones. Taking a look at the packaging, technically we've got 2 different types of packaging here, although it's really just a slight difference. It's just depending on which way the Mask of Life is facing. In some of the sets they're faced to the left, some they're faced to the right. On the front, we've got some pretty awesome action shots. We've got some swamps going in the background, give us an idea of the landscapes of Karda Nui, and of course we've got an indicator that the ages are 7 to 16 for these sets. We got set numbers, and we've got a piece count. Going back to those tops of the canisters, not only is it the Mask of Life, but the way they face actually does a pretty cool thing. On the Toa sets, the way that they're faced has a clean side of the Mask of Life, and these Makuta sets have this weathered down, deteriorated Mask of Life. To be honest, the first time I saw this when I opened up these boxes from shipping, I was like, oh no, these are scratched, what's going on? But I quickly figured it out, and with a quick little research, confirmed that this is the case. And on the back of the canisters, we've got a nice little graphic that shows us how you can combine the Matoran of Light, the Matoran or Shadow Matoran, with one of the Mistika sets and create this super big juggernaut where they're riding on each other's backs. As we learned from the previous review, some of them get special abilities when they're attached to Mistika, or what we'll see next week. There's also a graphic that shows how you launch these weapons, how you can put them in the canister, and then we got the 6 Mistika sets all the way on the left side here. Got a lot of good energy going right now. Good to be back. Super pumped for these sets. Let's hope that the Mistika can keep that good energy going and provide us with some really awesome builds. Let's go ahead and knock them out. Okay, after 45 minutes, we've completed all 6 of our Mistika builds. Now, we're going to break these up. There's 3 Toa Nuva sets, 3 Makuta sets, so we're going to break them up. They just kind of go along with each other a little bit better. They match, and just the overall consensus for those 2 groupings makes sense to split them up. So first, let's talk about these Toa Nuva sets. I had so much fun building them. Be quite honest, it felt like I was back in my youth building those early 2000s Bionicle sets. Maybe it was because it's been such a big break since some building Bionicles actually took place here, but also just some of the techniques, the pieces, some of the old molds came back. Really just felt like those original Bionicle sets, and into like Metro Nui and everything too, but man, it was such a good feeling to have that just youthful energy about building these Toa Nuva sets. It was awesome. I love the models. I mean, the color scheme, super different, I think, for Toa sets, and I really do think that they're different. I don't think we've gotten something quite like this, but we've got a lot of silver and then some small patches of color. You can go either way on this. I really do like it. I mean, it's something different. It makes them feel a little bit more prestigious, and those pops of color still come out. We've got the masks, of course, that give us the most color, but you can still see exactly, which region these Toa are going to be from, but it also just elevates them, gives us something different. The articulation's pretty well on all of these Toa. I will say, though, a little bit hit and miss in terms of which ones can move. I mean, my Toa Gali, not the best friction in those joints there. Some of the other ones, rock solid, 0 problems. So it kind of just depends on the condition of the sets if you're going to buy them used. And, you see with the articulation, but all the options for articulation are there. Just know that those friction joints, they might be a little bit lacking there, so they might slip a little bit. Jumping back to those masks that I brought up because they bring so much color to the models, I'm not the biggest fan of their molds, to be quite honest. They're a little bit tough to translate which Toa are which. Take the example of Toa Gali. left side of her mask kind of looks like it's Kopaka's, and so it's like, who is this? And I feel like in the history of Bionicle sets and seeing these characters that bring back and back, they do a great job of translating those original molds and some of their characteristics, and there are some in these. It's just, I think, pretty lacking. I wouldn't know if you showed me these sets. I'd be like, oh, that's Toa Gali, that's Toa Tahu, and that's Toa Nuva. No, that connection is absolutely not going to get made, so I think they could have done a better job in those molds there, but they are still pretty cool. They just don't fit the characters, I think, the best. The last thing to really highlight with the Toa Nuva would be those weapons. These blasters are pretty cool. I mean, it does kind of vary how strong they are from Toa to Toa, and really, I mean, when we get further, you'll hear that it does vary for the other sets as well. But for these Toa, like Toa Tahu, that thing really fires. It is super powerful, and then Toa Galis and Toa Nuas kind of just come out a little bit. They're not like super terrible, but they definitely don't have that power. And Toa Tahu was the first one I built, and so I fired this thing, and I was like, oh my god, like, this is what we're getting with all these. And then I build the next one, and it's a little bit looser, and I was like, oh, well, guess it can't be perfect for all the models, right? But they are pretty cool weapons. I like it. It's something a little bit different, a little more powerful. Definitely going to knock the heck out of some of these other enemies, but a little bit varying in terms of how strong each of them are for each set. Now hopping over to the Makuta sets that are part of the Mistika line. They're swamp insects, and boy does it reflect it. These designs are so cool. They are very different. I mean, when we look specifically, I mean, Krika is my favorite of the three of these. This white Mistika set right here, the white Makuta set, it's awesome. I mean, the stature, just the different building techniques, the part molds, it all comes together and very clearly insects. I love the way that this design came out. The appearances, spot on in terms of creating these swamp insects. Couldn't have done much better. We've got this one that's like a little bit of a wasp. We've got this super spider-like insect or praying mantis-like insect, and it's awesome, man. It's just really, really cool how they translated it and really just dialed in when it came to making these swamp creatures something different. They definitely look a little fearful, like they got some power to them. They're not just like these throwaway enemies, and that's an important thing too when you're creating these side by side and you're going to include them as one line. Yeah, they better look like formidable enemies. I do have the same weapon takeaway as the Toa Nuva. Some of them are just a little bit stronger than others, and I don't know what exactly it is. Do parts of these missiles just kind of wear off and then the fit's not as snug? Maybe. I'm not really sure. Did they just age? Did thermal expansion take over? A little bit of some chemistry, material science there, but if there was some expansion contraction in some of these, then the fit's going to be different. But anyways, point of it is, you're going to have that same hit and miss variety in terms of how powerful those blasters are. With that said, none of them are bad, like the missile just falls out or anything. It's just not going to launch like crazy, and that's what you want out of these, right? We want that thing to fire. One thing about the weapons for these Makuta sets is that it's red and green. Switches it up a little bit from the Toa Nuva. Personally, I like that. Lego easily could have been like, no, we're just going to make the same mold 6 times, same colors. They didn't. Thank you for doing that. It not only makes it a little bit different, but it also is very clear that, oh yeah, maybe these are like some bugs. The green, the red, just kind of red bug eyes, and then green, of course, bug. I don't know. It translates a little bit to me that they're bug. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. One thing I will say about the Makuta builds for the Mistika, they feel a little bit more simplistic than the Toa sets. There's just not as much, I guess, coverage of the pieces. The building is a little bit easier. There's like a little bit more bare. But they're not too bare, they're not too simple like those Matoran sets were. They're nicely balanced, they have good articulation, they don't feel super empty, they just are a little bit more simple than the Toa builds, and I'm not really sure why. I mean, they do have a little bit less pieces in each of them, but I mean, hey, they do the job, and they don't feel like they're dumbed down to the Toa sets. It just, the Toa sets should feel a little bit more powerful. They're a freaking Toa. Overall, the Mistika sets, pretty nice. Nothing crazy. They're not going to, blow your mind or jump out of the park, anything like that. But, man, they're pretty nice. And after a little bit of a break, in those Matoran of Light were my last memory of doing a Bionicle review. And a little bit there. But these ones were, man, it was nice. It was nice to come back and get some good Bionicle sets. I wasn't looking for anything great. Just some improvement. In 2008, I think we're off and running a little bit here. I know one of the things that people warned me about with 2008 that I didn't run into was the stability and integrity of these parts. None of them cracked. I snapped, even the lime green ones didn't crack. So fingers crossed, we are off to a good start. Now we're going a little bit with 2008. Next week, those sets, we're going to see if they kind of fall in the same line. Anyways, back to these guys. If you're looking to pick up these sets for yourself, used condition's going to, of course, be a little bit better than new condition, but not terrible. It depends on the set, really. I mean, in used condition, these are all going to run somewhere between like $25 and $30, which is a pretty tight little range there, so you know what you're getting into. If you're going to get them, any of them in new condition, that's where it gets a little dicey and depends on the model. You can get as low as $50 brand new, and you could go up to over $100 brand new in the case of Toa Tahu. So it really just depends which model you want there. I will tell you, Krika, who is an awesome model, is also more expensive. He's like $70, $80 brand new sealed. And then the other ones are kind of in that $60 to $50 range. So again, depends on the set you're looking for and how much that's going to cost to get brand new sealed. But in used condition, $25, $30, not terrible. I mean, we've seen prices a little bit lower for sets of like equal size, and we've seen them higher for sets of equal size. So yeah, it's somewhere in the middle. I wouldn't say it's overpriced, but I would say definitely take advantage of those prices now if you're interested in them, because they go up a little bit more to like $35, $40. Okay, now you got to consider it a little bit more. In terms of a score, I'm going to give the Mistika line a 7.4. Like I said, really nice sets. Nothing crazy, just very well done sets. We get two groupings, which I'm loving that dynamic that we're getting some hero sets with the Toa and then some villain sets with the Makuta. We'll see how I really feel about that going down in a couple of weeks here. But right now I really like it because you're getting enemies with your heroes. It's a nice little switch up. Like I said, with the color scheme, it was just something different. Felt fresh, a nice little breath of fresh air, and it's kind of the same thing. That's one of the aspects I really did enjoy about the Av Matoran, and they did the same thing here, and I'm sure next week they're going to do the same thing with the Fantoka, so we'll see how much I really do like it going down the line in 2008. But as of right now, pretty good fan of them. Pretty good fan of how they're doing this. So 7.4, that's your review. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel to be the first to see all of our future content. Also, be sure to check us out on our website and on our Facebook and Instagram pages. Until next time, stay bricking.